San Diego Chargers lead the Denver Broncos by the score of 6-3 as we look over the halftime statistics.
Well, the most glaring of which is the turnovers. 3 fumbles for the Denver Broncos, recovered by the Chargers.
Dan Fouts 8 for 17 for 99 yards in the first half, really not able to get going. And the same for Craig Morton, although the stats look impressive, but most were short gainers. Morton was 12 for 15, 113 yards. His longest reception for 18. Fouts' longest, 21 yards. The leading rushers, Muncie, 32 yards, 8 carries. And the rookie for Denver, Sammy Wider, had 32 yards on 4 carries.
San Diego's defense is trying to take on the same personality that Tampa Bay had. Very tough. You can't score on us, but we will hit you. And we've seen some hitting here today.
They have been drilling people. During the course of the halftime activities here in Denver, 2 of the retired warms up getting set for the second half. We saw both Steve DeBerg and Craig Morton getting ready, and earlier we speculated perhaps we will see a switch from Morton to DeBerg. We're only guessing because Dan Reeves may be looking to provide a lift for his club. They have not been able to move in the first half.
You would have to think that the Denver Broncos offense would get out of its conservative mode that they were in the first half and start opening it up. You're not going to win unless you throw the ball. The name of the game in professional football today is passing.
And there is Don Coryell, the master of the passing philosophy.
What a job he's done since he's been in San Diego.
Turned it around with the St. Louis Cardinals after a successful career at San Diego State. Dan Reeves in his second year as head coach here in Denver, 10 up, 6 down in his rookie coaching season after 3 years as offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. It is 51 degrees now here in Denver, and the rain still falling, which has been a factor. Well, NBC will continue its thorough NFL coverage with a wide array of regional games. Many of you next Sunday will see a battle between AFC powerhouses Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. Others may see the Los Angeles Raiders in Atlanta to face Steve Bartkowski and the Falcons, who open with the victory over the Giants. Check your local listings for the game and time in your area. NFL 82 kicking off its coverage with a look at all the happenings throughout the league. That's superb coverage through the Super Bowl right here only on NBC Sports.
And bad news for the Denver Broncos in their secondary. Steve Foley, a fractured forearm.
That injury sustained in a collision with Wes Chandler in the end zone. So Mike Harden will be the starter at free safety, replacing the injured Foley. Rolf Benirschke getting set to kick off. Benirschke with 2 field goals in the first half. And again having difficulty with the football, setting it on the tee. Denver has won 11 straight here at home. They were 8 for 8 last season in Denver. 89th consecutive sellout crowd on hand, 75,103. Incidentally, the only opening game that Don Coryell has lost as a head coach in the NFL was to the Denver Broncos when he was head coach of the St. Louis Cardinals.
A 7-0 game right here at Mile High Stadium.
That was misjudged by Wade Manning, and he will stay right there. A floating kickoff by Benirschke. So the Denver Broncos will go 1st and 10 from the 20, and Craig Morton remains in. The running backs Dave Preston and Rick Parros. Rick Upchurch, Steve Watson, Riley Odoms are Morton's receivers. Paul Howard has been shuffling with Dave Studdard at right guard. Everything else has remained intact. Broncos trailing the Chargers 6-3 as we get underway in the second half. This is Parros. Front at the line of scrimmage. The assault led by 53, David Lewis.
And Craig Morton throwing his hands up in frustration. I think he wants to open up the game.
And defensively, and the Chargers have been superb Up front with Leroy Jones, the big guy, Louis Kelcher, Gary Hans Johnson, John Woodcock. They have been shuffling at linebacker as they make their move between the 4-3 and the 3-4. And the secondary with either Allen or Buchanan, Gregor, Young, and Williams. Again, he goes short. Wilhite tried to put a move on, but it did not work. David Lewis staying right with him.
Well, it's exactly what you want, a running back one-on-one with a linebacker, but I think we'll be able to see the conditions have deteriorated as such as Wilhite can't keep his footing underneath him, but it's a good, solid defensive play. And Wilhite just could not get away from the man.
Sets up a 3rd and 7 at the 23. David Lewis, acquired from Tampa Bay, reportedly was in the doghouse in Tampa Bay. Supposedly was not getting along with Tom Bass in Tampa Bay, and here they are together getting along now in San Diego. Morton with time. It's Upchurch, and he's able to hold on, which has been a factor. He fumbled, coughed it up twice in the first half off hard hits by the Chargers. Bob Gregor, the free safety, had the wraps on Upchurch. It's a first down for Denver at their 43.
And what a job by the offensive line of the Denver Broncos. But anytime you give a quarterback, any quarterback in the NFL, this much time, he's going to find a receiver open.
It is a 20-yard pass play. And the Broncos still not looking in the direction of Steve Watson, who has been a decoy. This is Wilhite. Submarine down across the 45. A short pickup. David Lewis and Leroy Jones combining to stop this guy, number 47, the rookie out of San Jose State.
So easy for us to speculate, but one wonders what's going through Craig Morton's mind in his 18th year, why he hasn't been able to test number 49, Andre Young, and number 43, Bob Craig, the two safeties of the Chargers. Won't know how good they are until you test them.
Morton has connected on 9 straight completions, but they have all been of the short range variety. 2nd down 7. Denver at its 46. And across midfield comes Dave Preston. Preston in his 5th year out of Bowling Green, coming off the offseason knee surgery. As you look at Louis Kelcher.
Well, it's just a quick insider with Preston, and it's a nice isolate there on Louis Kelcher, how big and how much room he does take up in the center of that defensive line. One can only speculate what he weighs.
Well, he's now listed, Jim, at 300.
Well, they're being nice. And the men we've been talking about at length today, Tom Bass, the new defensive coordinator of the San Diego Chargers.
3rd and 2. Again, good protection, and overthrows the intended receiver. The intercept by Gregor. He actually had 2 men out there. Looked to be confusion. Riley Odoms was overthrown, and he had another potential receiver deeper. So the first interception of the day, Bob Gregor.
The game is 6-3. Things like this could lose the game for you, lose the championship.
What a beautiful move by Chandler on the strong safety, Dennis Smith.
And with a team that has Kellen Winslow on it and Charlie Joyner, they say Wes Chandler may be the best athlete on the San Diego Chargers.
Foul, unnecessary roughness out of bounds, 15 yards added to the completed pass. First down.
Well, no identification as to who the man who picked up the penalty is, although Jim seems to think it was Mike Hart. 40-yard pass play between Fouts and Chandler. First down at the Denver 23-yard line. And Fouts off the deep drop, going end zone, looking for Winslow. Lois Wright should have had it. Kellen Winslow, the intended receiver.
Maybe a little bit of an overthrow. The ball's wet. Winslow would have been a tight throw. Shows his confidence in himself, but Louis Wright drops an interception in the end zone. You get the feeling that Dan Fouts has the confidence back that he normally has during the season. Just going to open it up. You'll see Louis dropping a sure interception.
Well, Dan Fouts has put together the most awesome 3-year passing performance in the history of football. Last year set 13 club or NFL passing record, and is beginning to heat up here in the second half. 2nd and 10 for Fouts. Winslow broken up by the Broncos secondary. Kellen thought he had it. White and Harden combining to cover Winslow.
Pass is broken up by Wright.
We will see on this replay as we watch Kellen getting into the pattern wide. Number 20, Louis Wright, is an all-pro defensive back. Look at that move. Kellen thought he had 6.
Fouts was not looking Winslow's way in the first half. Winslow caught only 1 for 8 yards, but now has become the primary receiver. He is the premier tight end of the game. The last 2 years, he's caught 177 passes and 19 touchdowns. 3rd down and 10. Again, much time. Winslow is hit hard, and it's incomplete. Jim Ryan, the outside linebacker, with the hit on Winslow.
Not much of a pass rush, but the outstanding coverage of the Broncos linebackers and defensive backs. Nowhere to throw to. You notice that time as Winslow was hit, 2 linebackers on him at all times.
Dan Fouts now 9 for 22, 139 yards. And the field goal team has come on for San Diego. There is Benirschke attempting from 40 yards away. And it is good. So Rolf Benirschke with all 9 San Diego points. 3rd field goal of the day. 9:52 remaining in this 3rd quarter. Who just hit from 40 yards out to make it 3 out of 5 on the day, and the 2 he missed from 58 and 50. I guess that is that's permissible, Jim.
I would hope so.
Gerald Wilhite, Wade Manning await the kickoff. This is Wilhite out to the 10, 20, across the 30, and a good return along the sideline for Wilhite. Bumped out by the backup receiver Scott Fitzkee. So 9:43 remaining in this 3rd quarter. Denver leading, I should say San Diego leading Denver by the score of 9-3, and Denver now 1st down just inside their 30-yard line. Craig Morton is 14 for 18. He had hit 9 straight and then was intercepted by Greger. Off the fake. Nice play. Rick Upchurch. 1st down at the 47. Bob Greger, the free safety, tripped him up. And Upchurch is hurt.
I find it amazing they're not throwing to number 81, Steve Watson, their all-pro receiver.
Upchurch has been a busy man, and he is shaken up as he was hit by Greger.
Quick fake dive in a post pattern by Rick Upchurch, a pass pattern that he's not normally known to hold on to. He's done a fairly decent job today, Marvin.
17-yard pass play, an official timeout. The San Diego Chargers lead the Denver Broncos 9-3. Being brought to you by Chevrolet and your local Chevy dealers from coast to coast. By a tool for modern times, the IBM personal computer. And by Honda Motorcycles, inventors of the ATC 3-wheeler. Honda, follow the leader. Marv Albert with Jim Turner from Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado, where it has been raining. Temperature down to 50 degrees. A nippy day here in Denver. Rick Upchurch, who was just shaken up, helped to the sideline. Wade Manning has come on, replacing Upchurch. 1st and 10 at the 46. Dave Preston. Stopped by the middle linebacker, Clef Thrift.
During the short break, we could see Dan Reeves and Craig Morton talking about they're trying to get some punch into the offensive line, punch into the offense. Craig may be 15 of 19, but a lot of them are the giveaways, the little short passes that accumulate some yardage, but no points as yet.
All right, Preston picked up 8. It's a 2nd and 2. San Diego territory. Good second effort by Sammy Wider, but does not pick up any yardage. Excellent coverage by the Chargers. Andre Young up from strong safety, combining with the right defensive tackle, Gary Johnson. It's Jones, Kelcher, Johnson, Woodcock up front for San Diego in the 4-3 with Thrift in the middle. Lewis and Preston flanking him. At linebacker, Allen, Greger, Young, and Williams. are the safety men. Loss on the play as Morton gets set for a 3rd and 4. And he goes slot left. Nice protection again. Riley Odom's punt, and it's picked off. Andre Young off the deflection. Odoms was sandwiched. That is the 2nd interception thrown by Craig Morton.
Craig was going to rally all the way on that one. Once again, I know we've said it maybe too much today, but Tom Bass has said we're going to win this year, and I want to hit. Watch the hit on Riley Odoms as he attempts to hold on to the ball. Nice hit by number 43, Bob Greger. He's played an important part in today's game.
Greger getting the start with Tim Fox suffering a sprained ankle. So San Diego first down at their 12. Fouts able to get out of the deep territory. Kellen Winslow.
Well, you know, Dan is into the scheme of things now when he'll open up on a first down and he's on the 12-yard line with 88 yards to go.
Dan Fouts is now 9 for 23. A 2nd and 1 is upcoming. Capoletti and Muncie are the running backs. Capoletti picking up the first down. John Capoletti, the Heisman Trophy winner out of Penn State, in his 3rd year with San Diego after 5 with the Los Angeles Rams, has picked up the first down. Right here we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
KCST TV, San Diego.
7 minutes remaining, 3rd quarter. The Chargers of San Diego leading the Broncos of Denver 9-3. First down for San Diego at their 26. The swing for Muncie. Chuck Muncie with another San Diego first down. Tom Jackson running him out of bounds.
Dan Fouts is trying to keep the Denver offense, the defensive linebackers, honest by throwing occasionally to Chuck Muncie.
And it has been an excellent day for Muncie, who made his first appearance of the preseason last week against the Rams, picking up 67 yards. As you see, Gradishar taken out of the play.
By Ed White, number 67. It's so easy to talk about the Charger offense because they're so excited, but that offensive line has to be considered one of the best in football.
First down at the San Diego 36. Here's Muncie again. Beautiful move. Swinging the hips and getting out to the 42-yard line. Gradishar and Latimer combining. Here's Steve DeBerg, perhaps getting set to come out of the bullpen. Did he hit him in the face? Our crack director Andy Rosenberg and producer Terry Ewert always on the scene for the important pictures.
If DeBerg does go onto the field, it would be the first time in Dan Reeves' short history as head coach that he would pull a quarterback.
It is a 2nd and 4 at the 42. Fouts over the middle. Eric Sievers with the first down at midfield. Dennis Smith and Mike Harden making the stop.
Chipping away, getting the first down, eating the clock up. Something that they were not known for last year, that Denver was known for. Number 1 team in control of football last year was the Denver Broncos, and the San Diego Chargers were ranked 20th. It seems like they're switching positions today.
Air Coryell looking to make it 4 consecutive AFC West championships. Last year, the Chargers beating out the Broncos. This is Brooks.
James Brooks
To the 46-yard line. An advance of 4. They'll set up a 2nd and 6. Larry Evans, inside linebacker, stopping Brooks.
I like the way they bring Brooks in occasionally to work his talents as opposed to Chuck Muncie.
And apparently the theory is they don't want to overuse Brooks, who is so valuable in kickoff and punt returns. Want to maintain his durability. Just under 5 minutes remaining, 3rd quarter. San Diego leading Denver 9-3. Here is Brooks on the sweep. Had difficulty getting outside. It was closed by Harden. And they'll mark his forward progress. Latimer and then Harden getting to James Brooks. Mike Harden, who we discussed at the start of the ball game, very versatile defender. Had an excellent preseason, 5th-round draft pick. Dan Reeves has been very high on him, and Harden in the lineup, well, with the injury suffered in the first half by Steve Foley. It is a 3rd and 3 for San Diego at the Denver 43. Wes Chandler. Well, that's the 3rd time they have attempted what can be labeled an end around, although Chandler does start the play in the backfield upon occasion. This time they did pick up some yardage.
Chandler lining up at the right halfback spot from split formation, taking a simple handoff. Some excellent blocking here by number 63, Doug Wilkerson. Enough to make the first down.
And it's a first down at the 35-yard line.
The Denver Bronco defense has to be wearing down. They've been on the field a long time.
That is Winslow in the slot right. The swing from Muncie. Gets inside the 35-yard line. Hard driving Chuck Muncie, making contact with both Reuben Carter and Lewis Wright. They spotted at the 33. It'll be a 2nd down and 8 for the Chargers. San Diego Chargers did not have a draft pick until the 7th round for this season. The first 6 picks traded away, but Don Coryell is not pulling a George Allen. They are loaded for next year's draft, which should be one of the better drafts in many years.
That's what they're saying. It could be 4 to 5 draft choices deep next year.
Muncie gets inside the 30.
On the draw.
Reuben Carter stopping the draw play. So Muncie picked up 4. It'll be 3rd and 4 at the 29. See the clock moving. 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in this 3rd quarter. Cleveland leads Seattle 21-7 in the 3rd quarter. And the crowd urging on the Denver defensive unit. Here's Chandler. Beautiful move by Wes Chandler. And he has collected the first down.
Wes' 2nd first down in a row, but just an outstanding block by number 63. Once again, the veteran Doug Wilkerson putting the blow on Aaron Kyle. Wes Chandler showing some very good maneuvers as a running back.
And Jim, Wes Chandler was minus yardage in the first half. They tried the end around twice in the first half and lost 6 yards on the 2 tries, but different story here in the second half. This is Brooks, a quick opener, picks up a couple on the play. James Brooks hit down by Tom Jackson, the right outside linebacker.
Fouts is just grinding it out now. Going to eat the clock up. No mistakes, no interception, nothing to get the Denver Broncos alive again on offense.
Dan Fouts, who was spotted during the preseason, but had a solid preseason. 60% completion average through 4 touchdowns. San Diego took a long look at Ed Luther giving him work during the exhibition slate. San Diego holding on to the ball for over 7 minutes this 3rd quarter. Off the play action, he drills it, touchdown! Scott Fitzkee on the score as Fouts led him perfectly.
You won't see a finer throw anywhere in football than that one. If it's just an inch or 2 off, that's an interception or a knockdown. Credit Dan Fouts, credit his offensive line. 609 pass attempts last year. The offensive line only allowed 19 sacks. Scott Fitzkee picked up from the Philadelphia Eagles.
Played with the Eagles 2 years, comes off an injury hit campaign, his 4th year out of Penn State. Scott Fitzkee off the gorgeous pass thrown by Fouts. Here's Benirschke. And the San Diego Chargers, eating up the time here in the 3rd quarter, have moved in front of the Denver Broncos by the score of 16-3. Touchdown pass from Fouts to Fitzkee, capping off a long drive, 88 yards, 13 plays, a drive that consumed 7 minutes and 2 seconds of the 3rd quarter. And the Chargers now in front of the Broncos with some breathing room by the score of 16-3. A minute left, 3rd quarter, the kickoff by Benirschke. Wade Manning looking very tentative. Penalty marker down as Manning comes across the 20-yard line. Manning hit by backup tight end Pete Holohan. And it appears that Steve DeBerg will take over for Craig Morton, but the call being made.
It's against the Broncos.
Jim Tunney says against Denver.
Holding during the run back, 10 yards, still first down.
And the hand is for Steve DeBerg as he takes over for Craig Morton, who had the impressive statistics but not able to move the club. Did not pick up the man penalized on that hold because of the cheers for DeBerg. Steve DeBerg in his 2nd year with Denver after 4 with San Francisco in his 6th year in the pros out of San Jose State. Had an excellent preseason, taking over here late 3rd quarter. And Rick Barros gets the call. Stopped by Leroy Jones, 7-year man out of Norfolk State.
It'll be 2nd down and 6.
This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Denver Broncos and the National Football League is prohibited. It is a 2nd down and 6 for Denver at their 15-yard line. Only 10 seconds left, 3rd quarter, and DeBerg to throw. Preston across the 20. So DeBerg opening up with the short pass. Preston stopped by Thrift. And San Diego's Preston, Ray Preston, a 7-year man out of Syracuse, as this 3rd quarter comes to an end. At the end of 3, it's San Diego 16, Denver 3. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. Hey, Buccaneers, no need for Bass to look incognito. Get the sunglasses off. He's had a big day here in Denver.
Are we looking at a new defense in San Diego? Tom Landry said if they could just gel a little bit, they'll be in the Super Bowl. Is it so? Has Tom Bass done it so quickly?
Well, the Broncos have turned it over 5 times, and that has been the key factor. DeBerg now 3rd and 1 as we get underway 4th quarter at the Denver 20. Egloff in motion. And Winder has picked up the 1st down. The rookie out of Southern Mississippi, Sammy Winder, stopped by the free safety, Bob Greger.
I'm sure the secondary is expecting Steve DeBerg to roll out and throw as Sammy Winder takes the off-tackle play. Winder, as we've said before, has really caused some excitement here in Denver, not only amongst the fans, but his teammates. They appreciate his second effort.
First down at the 27, Barros and Preston, the running backs. And the guy that the Broncos have not been looking for, Steve Watson, able to come up with it. DeBerg throwing off the mark. Ray Preston covering on the play. Jim, the question in my mind, is it the San Diego defense which is improved, or just the poor offensive play of the Denver Broncos?
Well, I think it's a little of both. Obviously, we've got to compliment San Diego. They've done a good job. But the conservative position of the Broncos passing game leaves a lot to be desired.
2nd down and 10. Steve Watson, next reception will be his first. Beautiful combination. Rick Upchurch, who's been catching the football, has come up with his 6th reception of the day. Stopped by Jeff Allen, the left cornerback. Upchurch, however, has cost because he's fumbled twice.
Quickly right over the middle with Upchurch, one-on-one with Jeff Allen, number 27. That'd be tough duty anywhere. I think, like you said, the first reception, or the first time Steve catches one, is his first pass today.
All right, first down, penalty marker down. Winder not able to get outside.
Sammy Winder on the right side.
And a short pickup. Cliff Thrift, who has been outstanding from his middle linebacker position, combining with David Lewis. And a penalty being called on San Diego.
Offside, 95 yards, still first down.
The offside called on the right defensive end, John Woodcock.
First down, 5 yards to go.
So Denver now with a 1st and 5 at their 44. Chargers lead it 16-3. 3 field goals for Rolf Benirschke. And Fouts combining with Scott Fitzkee on an 18-yard pass play late 3rd quarter. Play action. And DeBerg again goes short. Egloff, the tight end, has the first down. Thrift able to get Egloff out of bounds. So Denver showing signs of a drive developing. First down and San Diego territory at the 46.
Well, in past years, the Denver Bronco offense never had a safety valve in case the primaries were covered. Now they do with Dan Reeves and his multiple offense. Goes to number 85, the 2nd string tight end, Ron Egloff.
Egloff in his 6th season out of Wisconsin, coming off his best year, 17 receptions, 231 yards last season. 1st and 10 at the 46. Upchurch in motion. And DeBerg has to scramble. And wisely out of bounds. A loss on the play. Number 99, Wilbur Young, and 91, Rick Ackerman in pursuit. 3rd quarter, Miami leading the Jets 31-14. It's been a long time between victories for the Dolphins against the Jets. It'll be a 2nd and 12 for Denver at the San Diego 48-yard line. Steve DeBerg taking over late 3rd quarter for the starter, Craig Morton. Incomplete. Wilhite not able to hold on. He started to look upfield, heard the footsteps of Lewis and Young.
Might have been a rookie mistake. The scrambling ability we saw of Steve DeBerg just a play before might be what Dan Reeves is counting on to throw off the San Diego defense. He can scramble, he can run. He does have an excellent arm. They may have waited just a little too long to do it, though. It's a good pattern by the number 1 draft choice, but I think you're right. He took his eyes off it, ready to run upfield.
It is a 3rd and 12 now for DeBerg. Going sideline, and the diving attempt by Riley Odoms. So Denver will be forced to punt, and this will be the first punt of the 2nd half. It has been a very swift-moving ball game. We expected a long game, expecting a aerial contest between Fouts and Morton. And just the opposite, with San Diego consuming over 7 minutes holding on to that football in the 3rd quarter. And then moving it in on the touchdown pass to Fitzkee. Here's Prestridge looking to direct it. And again, not able to as it carries in. That's the 2nd time that has occurred to Luke Prestridge. It's a 48-yard punt. And when we return following this commercial break, the Chargers take over at their 20. Tim Turner, the San Diego Chargers leading the Denver Broncos 16-3 with 2.5 minutes gone by in this 4th quarter. Dan Fouts and the Chargers first down at their 20-yard line. That's Joyner in motion. Muncie. A loss on the play. Larry Evans with a quick move to stop Muncie. Look at that Miami Jets score. It is now Dolphins 38 and the Jets 14.
If it continues, wouldn't that be the first time in 8 of the last games that the Miami Dolphins would pull a victory off against the Jets?
Well, the Jets continuing right to form and getting off to a slow start. That was the case last year when they were able to bounce back. 2nd down and 12 for San Diego. The swing for Brooks. Nowhere to go. Out to the 20-yard line. Tom Jackson, the outside linebacker on the right, making the stop. Denver now with a front 3 of Greg Boyd, Don Latimer, Bryson Manor. Linebackers have remained the same. Jim Ryan, Larry Evans, Randy Gradishar, Tom Jackson. And the secondary with Lewis Wright, Dennis Smith, Aaron Kyle, and Mike Harden. Harden taking over for Steve Foley, who injured his arm in the first half. 3rd down and 9. Back at the San Diego 21. Fouts able to unleash for the first down. Joyner on the reception in traffic.
Broncos in their nickel defense, bringing the newest member of the defensive backfield, number 26, J.T. Thomas, formerly of the world champion Pittsburgh Steelers in here. 5 defensive backs in to cover this offensive passing machine. J.T. Thomas.
Thomas played 8 years with Pittsburgh, acquired 3 weeks ago for a future draft pick. San Diego 1st down at their 32-yard line. 10 minutes, 20 seconds remaining. 4th quarter. Off the draw, then Brooks cuts outside. Nowhere. Back at the 25, stopped by Tom Jackson and Randy Gradishar.
Dan is just running the clock, eating it up. It's an excellent call, giving it to James Brooks, making those defensive backers commit themselves, maybe tiring them out. So next time he might come back to Winslow or West Chandler on the long pass.
Fouts is now 16 for 29, 201 yards, and the 1 touchdown, combining with Scott Fitzkee in the 3rd quarter. Passing situation, 2nd, 17. Penalty marker down, and the play is blown dead. Illegal procedure called on the Chargers. So Jim Tunney marks it back to the 20.
Still 2nd down.
So the procedure call. And San Diego now 2nd down and 22, back at the 20. And again, this capacity crowd urging on the Bronco defense. The swing for Brooks. And he's contained across the 25. Don Latimer racing with James Brooks. San Diego is 7 for 14 in 3rd down conversions.
And the Bronco defense had everyone covered so well. Goes to his outlet, the screen pass to James Brooks on the swing. I don't believe that was a screen. It would be a swing. Broncos need a big play. They need an interception for a touchdown. Something to happen on a positive side for them.
3rd and 16. San Diego at its 26. That's Brooks again. Able to break a tackle out to the 33. Gradishar stopping Brooks. And that stops the San Diego drive. So we will get another look at the rookie punter out of Texas Tech, Maury Buford, who earlier punted one 71 yards, and back in single safety is Rick Upchurch, who has had his ups and downs this afternoon. 6 receptions for Upchurch, but he has fumbled twice, both recovered by San Diego.
Leading punt return man in the history of football, something he got away from last year. Dan Reeves wants him back in there to make the big plays as he used to.
Guilford back at his 20. Oh, it's Rob Lytle celebrating the addition to his family with a blocked punt.
And we were talking about big plays just a few seconds ago. Number 41, Rob Lytle, comes up with possibly the big play of the day for the Denver Broncos.
The Broncos able to block the punt. Here's another look as the Broncos take over at the San Diego 21-yard line. Back to the live action. Off the play action. DeBurr. Incomplete. Intended for Upchurch. Getting back to the man who blocked that Buford punt, Rob Lytle. He arrived just before kickoff time by a police escort. The proud father of a baby boy who they have named William. So we welcome William Lytle as his daddy has just come up with a very big play for the Denver Broncos. 2nd down and 10. Here's the swing pass. Winder inside the 15. Bob Greger, the free safety, on the stop. So DeBerg is now 4 for 7, but he also has succeeded only from short range.
And the play formed so beautifully, sending Upchurch and Watson downfield, obviously drawing coverage from all the defenders, and Winder cutting back behind his blockers, moving the ball up into scoring range. One wonders if it's not too late.
3rd down and 4 for Denver. At the San Diego 15. Steve Watson to the right, Rick Upchurch left. And DeBerg out of the shotgun. First down for Denver. Watson, his first reception of the day.
The Broncos have been known for the great comebacks. Right here, down 27 points a couple of years ago to the Seattle Seahawks. The first reception for the Pro Bowler and All-Pro wide receiver last year, number 81, Steve Watson. Certainly incognito today. This is a big catch for him.
Watson, one of the NFL surprise players last year. 13 touchdowns. Caught 60 passes after being almost non-existent in his previous years here in Denver. Harold gets to the 6. It'll be a 2nd and goal for Denver. Bob Greger making the stop on Rick Barros. We have 6 minutes remaining, 4th quarter, and the Chargers leading it by the score of 16-3. Denver now 2nd and goal at the San Diego 6. This drive set up by the blocked punt. Rob Lytle hurling himself in the path of Maury Buford. And DeBerg to throw. Penalty marker down as he throws it away. Jim Wright, the alleged intended receiver, but well covered.
And this is a set play by the Denver Broncos. He changed up his cadence. Hut, you heard him say, Hut, Hut, Hut. They drew him offsides. The Broncos call this a no-brainer, drawing the defensive line offsides.
What do they call it?
A no-brainer.
No-brainer.
A no-brainer.
Offside defense, half the distance of the goal line. Still 2nd down.
DeBerg able to bring the Chargers offside.
And Marv, as you and I know, anything can happen in the NFL. A scoring combination would lead to such that if they score 16-10, anything could happen for the Broncos. It could end up 17-16.
2nd and goal from the 3. Fumbled by Karlis. And let's see, San Diego recovers in the end zone. Ray Preston on the recovery. Rick Parros coughing it up with 5:28 remaining.
So uncharacteristic of the Denver Broncos, anyone to fumble the ball. The offensive line did such a beautiful job on that drive behind Steve DeBerg.
So they bring it out to the 20, where San Diego will take over. Ray Preston with his 2nd recovery of the day. 5 for Colorado. Rick Parros with a critical fumble at the goal line. The fumble recovered by Ray Preston, his 2nd fumble recovery of the day. So San Diego starting out at its 20-yard line. Chuck Muncie with a 2-yard pickup, stopped by Lewis Wright. So 6 turnovers for the Denver Broncos.
Some can say, and some will say, that the breaks have gone the San Diego way, but they've made those breaks with hard-hitting, scrambling defensive football.
No question. They have been drilling people throughout the day. Denver not able to get going offensively. Craig Morton will have pretty statistics when you check it out in the morning newspaper, but not able to move the club. Steve DeBerg did show signs of movement, but the drive stopped. A drive set up by the block punt of Rob Lytle. Here's Muncie again on a sweep, picking his way beautifully for a 1st down and more. Oh, what a move by Muncie with the blockers. Larry Evans and Mike Parton were ridden off, but were able to guide him out of bounds.
It should be illegal, man, that big to be that agile, that fast, to be able to run football like that. One would have to imagine, as we watch Muncie break some tackles in this great run for a 1st down, that Dan would go conservative now, try to run the clock out against the Broncos. Wouldn't you think, Mark?
No question. It will not be one of Dan Fouts' better ball games when we look at the statistics, but a wise game plan by the San Diego Chargers. They played it very smartly. They got the field goal kicking of Benirschke throughout the 1st half. The 1 touchdown thus far thrown by Fouts to Fitzkee. And he keeps it on the ground. Here's Capoletti, and he is stopped. Evans and Kyle upending John Capoletti. Muncie 62 yards on 14 carries that last run for 17 yards. And a fine all-around day for Chuck Muncie, playing only his 2nd game since his late return, looking to make it back after the drug rehabilitation program that took place twice during the summer months. Muncie coming off his best professional season. 1,144 yards, 19 touchdowns last year. 2nd down and 9. And here's Muncie. Gradishaw and Muncie break the tackle, and Muncie nearly did it again, but Chavis got the wraps on it.
Tackle by Chavis and Gradishaw.
And Muncie helped up by Gradishaw. 3 minutes, 42 seconds left in this 4th quarter. The San Diego Chargers just looking to eat up the clock the rest of the way. Have a 3rd down and 9 at their 39-yard line with 3 minutes and 42 seconds remaining in this 4th quarter. As we check out the scores around the National Football League, Cincinnati over Houston. Atlanta beating the Giants 16-14. Before we close out, we'll continue to run it down. Fouts, incidentally, is 18 for 31. 214 yards, and he throws deep for Chandler. Beautiful catch by Wes Chandler, bumping with Lewis Wright down the sideline. What an effort.
What an effort is right, and Louis Wright was all over him. Excellent coverage, evidently not quite excellent. What a pass by Dan Fouts, the #1 passing offense in professional football. John Brody calls it the closest thing of perfection in the passing game today. Look at the coverage. What a pass, as you say. This will just tear your heart out. Look at this. The man they call, you were right, they stole him from New Orleans last year.
That's his 4th reception.
To give up a John Jefferson and pull back a West Chandler.
First down and 10 from the 23-yard line. Wes Chandler with a big play with the clock running, 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. James Brooks on the carry as we check out the scoreboard. Washington over Philadelphia 37-34 in overtime. Green Bay in a come from behind effort to beat the Rams 35-23. Buffalo over Kansas City 14-9. Detroit beating Chicago 17-10. St. Louis over New Orleans 21-7. It is a 2nd down and 7 at the 20s. Here's Brooks trying to pick his way and picks up short yardage. The 39-yard pass play from Fouts to Chandler, setting it up with 2 minutes remaining now in this 4th quarter. And it does not look good for Dan Reeves of Denver. Well, again this year at the 2-minute warning, we're going to be treated to some of the most exciting finales from NFL history. They are called fantastic finishes, and here's one of them. With head coach Don Coryell, he had coached for San Diego in the mid-60s, served under Coryell at San Diego State earlier in the 60s, and he will have a very happy plane ride back to San Diego, along with the rest of the Chargers. 4th down and 5 for Fouts. Muncie on the sweep and bumped out of bounds. Combination of Harden and Gradishar. Muncie following the left guard, Doug Wilkerson. And we have 1 minute and 54 remaining in this 4th quarter. Minnesota beating Tampa Bay 17-10. New England over Baltimore 24-13 at Foxborough. In the 4th quarter, San Francisco leading the LA Raiders 17-13. And Miami over the Jets 45-14. Richard Todd has been intercepted 3 times. Cleveland leading Seattle in the 4th quarter 21-7. First down picked up by Muncie at the 13-yard line. And it's Muncie again off the right side. Gets down to the 10.
Certainly a discouraging note for Dan Reeves. Joe Collier, the Denver Broncos, with 15 games left in the season. Anything can happen.
Let's see now. Denver next week home for the Super Bowl champion 49ers. In 2 weeks they play at New Orleans. Then it's back home for Pittsburgh. So 3 of the first 4 games here in Denver, and they will have that home win streak stopped here today by the Chargers. 1:45 remaining. 4th quarter in Denver. Marv Albert with Jim Turner. And 1 minute and 45 remaining in the 4th quarter. San Diego has won only once the last 14 games here in Denver, looking to turn around several streaks. Muncie again heading for the end zone. He broke tackles and he's in easily. A very poor defensive effort by the Broncos.
Too many missed tackles, but let's give credit to the offensive line. They've protected and blocked well all day long. If you're a Charger fan, you have to be proud of this effort. Chuck Muncie missed a lot of the training camp, and you have to be proud of your defense. You just wonder if the Chargers are ready for their big year. Look at Chuck Muncie, 230 pounds, finds his way into the end zone. 19 rushing touchdowns last year.
So the San Diego Chargers now leading the Denver Broncos by the score of 22-3 as Muncie takes it in from 10 yards out. And here's Benirschke with Luther holding. And the Chargers add another point.
And the score.
1 minute 39 left in the 4th quarter. And it's San Diego in front of Denver, 23-3. Going into today's action, Denver had won 7 in a row in home openers, and they'd lost only once the last 13 years. They also had won 11 straight here at Mile High Stadium, but the Chargers closing those statistics. Gerald Wilhite on the kickoff return to the 25-yard line. The San Diego drive, 80 yards, 10 plays in 3:49, capped off by the 10-yard run by Chuck Muncie. Wilhite stopped by Carlos Bradley, the backup linebacker, and Wilhite comes hobbling off.
off the solid performance of the Chargers, when the question has to be asked, of course, with the addition of Tom Bass and his new defensive theory, is this San Diego's year? We know they have the best passing offense in football.
Well, a very nice opening for the Chargers. Next Sunday, they will be at Kansas City. In 2 weeks, San Diego home for the Raiders, and then it's on to Atlanta, so they play 3 of their first 4 on the road. 1st and 10 for Denver. At the 25, this is Steve DeBerg swinging it. Sammy Winder, who has also been impressive. The bright spots for the Broncos offensively have been Winder and Wilhite, but all they show for it, a field goal. 1st down at the 40. And it's Winder again. Out to the 48. Carlos Bradley is right there.
The giveaway takeaway game in the NFL will always kill you. They gave away 5 turnovers today.
2nd down and 2. So DeBerg with the hurry-up offense and the diving catch by Winder for a 1st down. This is really just a clinical drill looking ahead with the score 23-3, and we're down to 40 seconds remaining. While we have the opportunity, I'd like to thank our spotters, Al King and Ron Talbers, our statistician, Ray Friedman. Here's DeBerg floating it out. Hard hit on Manning to jar it loose. So it is incomplete. The coordinating producer of NBC's NF Football is Ted Nathanson. And our telecast today here in Denver has been produced by Terry Ewert, directed by Andy Rosenberg, technical director Bruce Berquist, and associate director Jim Marcioni. Bob Greger shaken up on the play.
Talking about the schedule coming up, the Broncos next week against the San Francisco 49ers right here at Mile High. San Diego could face some tough times down the road. 3 Monday night games. That's very tough on football teams.
National exposure, but you talk to coaches, I think 3 would be a bit too much.
I think a bit too much. It goes along with the excitement they give America. The Denver Broncos don't have 1, and they're pleased with it. There's a man that's not very pleased today, Dan Reeves.
And the question of who will be the starting quarterback next week against San Francisco. 31 seconds remaining. Yes, Wilbur Young. So the offside on Young.
The quarterback question has been going on since 1965 here in Denver. Probably in every NFL town. Who's going to start this week?
Very difficult to win when you have 2 quarterbacks of very subjective, but what you would consider equal quality. Here's DeBerg, who took over for Craig Morton, firing deep, and it's broken up. Throwing a prayer, David Lewis getting a hand on it. And the intended receiver, I believe, was Dennis Smith.
It was Dennis Smith,
who is a strong safety.
Well, they consider him the best athlete on the Denver Broncos team, and he's the highest leaper, the David Thompson type leaper, and they were throwing a prayer to Dennis Smith.
7'2" high jumper in high school and college. You know, I saw number 49, and of course, Jim, as you know, we always do our homework memorizing every conceivable number, but I had to check that. See the defensive man, Dennis Smith, it was.
And he's still on the field. Wonder if they'll do it again.
That is Smith flanked to the right along with Watson, who had a very quiet afternoon. They were not looking for Steve Watson. And here's DeBerg waiting for the receivers to get downfield, and he does it again for Smith, and it is incomplete. Well, a little circus finish here for the Broncos with 15 seconds remaining.
Berg could have ran it in for a touchdown. He had 40 yards of free territory to run.
Well, a message for Billy Thompson, who was honored at halftime along with Haven Moses, both retiring following last season. Dennis Smith replacing the retired Billy Thompson. See, was Billy ever used offensively?
No, he wasn't, but both Haven and Billy were cornerstones of the Broncos for years. Looks like they're trying to R.C. Owens with Dennis Smith.
An alley-oop effect. 4th down and 5. And here is DeBerg, this time going shorter range, incomplete. Sammy Winder not able to hang on, and that is it for the Broncos. With 9 seconds remaining, the Chargers and the Broncos exchanging handshakes for these final seconds. As you get another look, Winder should have had it again. He turned his head.
Looking to run before he had control of the ball.
So San Diego figures to just fall on the football as they open up impressively, particularly defensively, holding the Denver Broncos to 3 points. The field goal by Rich Karlis, and that was it, as Fouts falls on it. And this ball game is in the books. The San Diego Chargers defeating the Denver Broncos here on opening day 1982 by the score of 23-3. It began as a field goal battle between Rolf Benirschke and Rich Karlis. Benirschke hitting 3 out of 5. He hit from 50, from 25, and from 40. Karlis hit from 41 yards out. Dan Fouts with a touchdown pass, an 18-yard reception to Scott Fitzkee in the 3rd quarter to give the Chargers a 16-3 lead. And then in the 4th quarter, it was Chuck Muncie taking it in from 10 yards out. Benirschke with the extra point to cap it off to make it a 23-3 final. There's Rob Lytle, who blocked a punt after arriving here at Mile High late after his wife gave birth to a son. And Rob, as it turned out, saw only limited action. But the San Diego Chargers have won their opening game, a club that had won only one time the last 14 here in Denver, and that was back in 1980 as they walloped the Broncos by the score of 30-13. Denver had won 7 straight home openers. They had won 11 straight here at Mile High, but that is now history as the Chargers have defeated the Broncos by the score of 23-3. And the major question this week here in Denver, Jim, will be the quarterback situation. Craig Morton started, had impressive statistics, did not move the club. Steve DeBerg came on. There was signs of movement, but DeBerg also not able to get 6 up on the board.
The quarterback situation is always a discussion here in Denver, but my feeling is that they showed so much offense in preseason